The city of Marietta faced a challenge. We had an aging recreation center that was functionally obsolete, but held historical significance and genuine meaning to the community. How would we redevelop the property and still maintain its authentic value? In 2015, we embarked on a 3-year process to meet this challenge. To accomplish this, a Friends of Elizabeth Porter Park organization was formed to work with the city and provide input into how to best tell the story of the site's history and significance. Through this process, 2 hallmarks of the park were developed: a 130-foot mural and a life-size bronze statue of Elizabeth Porter. Using newspaper articles and local knowledge, the mural beautifully tells the story of the site in a way that engages park patrons of all ages. The bronze statue of Elizabeth Porter is life-size and depicts her surrounded by children, which is the epitome of who she was and what she dedicated her life's work to doing. In an impressive fundraising effort, the Friends of Elizabeth Porter raised nearly $100,000 to fund the statue. Today, Elizabeth Porter Park is a world-class park. It has a playground, spray ground, walking track, and picnic tables. But more than that, it memorializes and shares the legacy of Mrs. Porter and those that worked tirelessly for the African American community.
About the year of 1949 and 1950, maybe 51, they were building a building here called the hospital, and for the use of African Americans who were living in the city of Marietta at that time. But shortly after that, they finished building a small hospital on Tower Road there, what is now known as the Keystone Hospital, and it served the use for all citizens, black, white.
Who would have ever thought this facility was a hospital during segregation in the 1940s? And then it transitioned into a canteen, and from a canteen to a recreation facility. The question became, well, what do we do with the Elizabeth Porter site? It was really up in the air. We wanted to form a historic committee, and one that actually will work on paying homage to this local community, Baptist town. We met for 3 years. We combed through archives. We went to the local courthouse to look at some of the documents. So we really did a lot of research to make sure we captured the timeline. The committee raised well over $90,000. Our original goal was $40,000, and we raised money by selling bricks. Elizabeth Porter Splash Park is a perfect example of government and community working together. Just perfect collaboration.
The wall itself is beautiful. You can see the history, and so many students will remember some of these people and these stories just by looking at them. It is an honor that a statue of a black woman in 2019 or 2018 was erected in the honor of Mrs. Porter. I don't think there's another statue in the city of Marietta that so reflects a black person.
Morning, how you doing? This is Siobhan Phillips from North Cobb Senior Center, and this is another addition to our Black History Tribute. We have Miss Pearl Freeman with us from Marietta, Georgia. She is born and raised in Marietta, and I tell you, after talking to her, she is a walking historian. I mean, she has given me so much insight on the city of Marietta and Cobb County, and I just can't wait to dig in and for you to learn more about her as well. So how are you doing, Miss Freeman?
Good morning, Miss Yolanda. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for coming and being with us today.
With you. Yes.
And so just give us a little history about yourself. You born and raised here, and what did you do, and how did you maneuver through life?
Oh, wow. We might be here a long time. My name is Willie Pearl. I dropped the Willie because people thought it was a man, but my name is Willie Pearl Riley Freeman. Born and raised in Marietta, been here all my life. Been a lot of places, but I always come back home. I was born not too far from here, 618 Wright Street. As I shared with you earlier, dirt road. Part of it was us and part of it was white people, but that's where we were born. Went to Lemon Street High School, elementary school, then on to the high school, left there, got married shortly after high school, and to the love of my life, Oscar Freeman. And we had 3 children, and just stayed home.
Yeah.
Life had just been a lot of places, like I said, but we always came back home.
Right. And so you told me that you served in the community. So what type of work did you do?
I worked for the city of Marietta for like in 2 months of being 33 years. I worked for the Marietta Board of Lights and Water side for 10 years. Then I transferred over to the tax department where I was the tax manager for the next 22 years and 10 months.
Wow, wow.
Loved every bit of it.
Wow, wow, wow. So, moving right along, you said your husband was Oscar Freeman.
My husband was Oscar Freeman. Yes, he was also born and raised in Marietta. He went away to the military, I believe, was in '63 before we married, and maybe it was in '60, I'm not sure. But met him. He went away, and after he come back is when I met him. He became president of Cobb County NAACP back in the early '80s. Back then, it was a lot of racial divide, racial tension, and a few years prior to that, Dr. King had been assassinated. So the world was just, America was just in a turmoil over discrimination and things that were going on. And Oscar decided he'd get involved with the NAACP. At that time, having only maybe about 30, 40 members. And it took him about 2 years, but he built the membership to over 400 and some members and did a tremendous job at that short time in the community.
Wow.
Yeah.
You told me something that was very, very interesting. You said now he is in the archives at Kennesaw.
Yeah, after his death in 2009, I gave Kennesaw College all of his memorabilia, articles, whatever I had, and they've archived that now. And I'm told that, I believe it's in the fall of the year, that during the curriculum during the fall, that the history, the time of his legacy that he served us, the community, is being taught in the curriculum up there now.
That is amazing.
He did a tremendous job. Yes.
That is amazing,
Yes.
amazing. You mentioned earlier, and we didn't even talk about, you have 3 children.
I have 3 children.
They're in the area still?
Travis, Trina, and Terrence, yes.
Wow,
They're here.
nice, good, good,
Yes.
good. So, moving along, you are a part of the Elizabeth Porter Park Committee.
Correct.
So tell me about Miss Porter. You gave me some very interesting details about her. Tell me about Miss Porter.
My memory of Mrs. Porter probably started on Lawrence Street. We used to have a swimming pool for black kids on Lawrence Street, and Miss Porter was over that pool. And later becoming, about the year, she became the director at some point over what we call the canteen, before they took that building down a few years ago. She was the director of that. Miss Porter was very polished, always pristine, wore her pearls, a disciplinarian. She didn't take no stuff, very orderly, and she ran a successful program. During the day, of course, most kids was in school. I don't know if it was ever a nursery or not, because of course we were in school at that time. But every Friday night after the football games, we would go to the canteen. That's where we had our dances.
Right.
When the football game was over, everybody headed for the canteen.
Right.
Back in those days, I think it might have stayed over to maybe 11 o'clock, 11 o'clock, something like that. I don't remember. But if you were from Marietta, Georgia, everybody knew everybody. If we didn't know you, we knew your family. So if you got in trouble, Mama and them told somebody.
Right.
They got the word some kind of way.
Right.
Mrs. Porter was a positive influence for a lot of kids back then.
Right. And she worked for Marietta Parks.
She worked for Parks and Recreation, yes.
Wow,
Yes.
wow.
Prior to Mrs. Porter taking it over as a center, I don't have the exact dates in mind right now, but it was a hospital for a moment. But prior to that, the Black Hospital was actually on Cherokee, down in the basement of one of the buildings. It was a very horrible place from what I'm told, when it moved over there for a short period of time before they opened a space at Kennestone Hospital in a section they call it, I never knew where G section got its name, but all black people had to go to G section.
Right.
If you had to have surgery, they took you to surgery, but they always brought you back to G section, because remember, integration had not taken place.
Right.
So you weren't on the other floors, you were in G section.
Wow. Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. So you said you went to school with Miss Porter's
Miss Porter she has nieces and nephews. I know some of them. I know Janet. That's her niece. Janet also worked for the city of Marietta and retired. Janet has a sister named Betty, and she had brothers that had children. So yes, Miss Porter still has some family living.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. So tell me, and we're gonna wrap it up. Tell me, what does when they renovated that land? Of course, they preserved the land and didn't do anything with it, but then they got the park and that big mural. I mean, what does that mean to you? You're a part of the community. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to the city of Marietta?
Over in that area of town, it's called Baptist Town.
Okay.
It was called Baptist Town back in those days because of Mr. Charlie Hunter's restaurant, and that's where black people lived. And so the mural, the wall, represents the activities that was happening over there, as well as Lawrence Street. We had black doctors, and my father-in-law, Oscar Sr., he was a cab driver. You had Ruby Haley's beauty shop, barber shop. That's where the black businesses were over there. So that mural represents a lot of areas. Mr. and Mrs. Woods and Dr. Weddington and people like that. So when you look at the mural, especially for those of us that know the history, you see, wow, it just really kind of pops.
Right.
This really happened. They done an excellent job.
It's so beautiful.
It is so beautiful,
Oh,
so
it's
beautiful.
beautiful. Right.
And it will be, and if you really think about it, I don't know of any other city that has an erection of a black person in statue
Right.
like Mrs. Porter. I mean,
Right.
it was just an honor to be able to serve, and I was so proud to be. I've always loved Marietta, even though there's been racial tensions here and things are not always like they should be. For me, Marietta has been home.
Right.
It's been a good place, and I've always been the kind of person that I can stand my ground. I learned to get along with people,
Right.
and that's what I like. I like being a part of it, get along. If I can make it happen, I like to do it.
Right.
And hats off to that committee, to all that served, to the mayor, to everybody that was involved in making that a reality,
Right.
because that's history.
It is.
That's history. Like Lemon Street being preserved,
Yeah.
Lemon Street Elementary School, that's history.
Yeah.
We can be proud of that. We can be proud, very proud. Miss Buford's Park, that's not talked about a lot, but Mr. Raymond Buford's wife, she's the one that left in writing that area was supposed to go to. She donated that land to the city, and it was supposed to never be used for nothing but a park for the children, for the kids. So, there's some inroads, there's some things happening
Right.
in a positive manner.
Right. Well, I really appreciate you taking out the time to come and talk with us today. I was doing a little history on Marietta, and I came across this park, and me and my family, when we first moved here a few years ago, we took pictures in front of that mural, and I have to send them to you. I mean, me and the kids was running up and down, and me and my husband was reading all about it, and I mean, it's just amazing, and to finally get some insight on it is amazing, and to meet somebody who's a part of the committee is just mind-blowing, and I can't wait to go home and talk about it some more. But thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and thank you for being such a staple in the community, especially in Cobb County and in Marietta.
Thank you for asking me.
Yes, ma'am.
Have a-
Yes, ma'am.